Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2020 ASEAN Food and Beverage Manufacturing Summit, Advances in Formulation, Processing and Packaging. Firstly, I would like to make some acknowledgements. I would like to thank our partners who support this event, the Indonesian Packaging Federation, who is our long-standing partner and whose mission is to enhance packaging quality and technology development, as well as to encourage research and development in the packaging innovation. The LPPOM MUI, the halal regulation body, whose goal is to provide comprehensive services regarding halal certification to all business entities, and GAPMI, the Indonesian Food and Beverage Association, which importance on the Indonesian market is not to be underestimated. It helps its members to protect and develop their businesses by providing them with valuable assistance and information on multi-aspect on food business, from food safety, labeling, and other economic issues related to food industries. I would also like to warmly thank our business partners for whom because of whom this event is possible. The Kin Shang Hu, the professional manufacturer of food machinery, and Gen Asia Biotech, which provides the in-food and beverage ingredients for the food and beverage manufacturers. Firstly, I would like to let you know a little bit about our platform page, so you would be comfortable using it. On the lobby page, on the left side, we have the industrial news part and the main information and announcements from the event host organizer, which would be us. The main, of course, part of this event is the conference part, where you can watch me right now. You can also go to the exhibition booth, where you will find more information about our partners, the Kinshong Ironworks and the Gen Asia Biotech. You can engage in a discussion with them on their exhibition booth group channel, or you can find the people from those companies and start a private chat with them directly. You can also, if you go to the networking part, which is also selected from the left side menu, you can start conversation with any of the members of those companies or from our partners from the industry, as well as find our expert speakers or any other companies and representatives that are present, and engage in a discussion with them with one-on-one face-to-face meeting, which is very, very easily to engage. The agenda of today's events goes as follows. Firstly, we will welcome Mr. Hengki Wibawa, the Executive Director of Indonesian Packaging Federation, who will be talking about improvements in functional properties of sustainable packaging. Next will be Mr. Mark Tuhey, Executive Director from Aglive, who will talk about technology that meets the changing consumer demands for product information, a very timely topic. And we will end the first part of today's event with the presentation from Mr. Thomas de Bruyn, the Market Manager and Digital Transformation Manager from Veolia Water Technologies, who will be talking about the importance on the ingredient water, a key component for quality products. After that, we will have a short tea break for refreshments. And after that, we will have a panel discussion led by Big Venture Ideas about startups as the spearhead of the food and beverage innovation, followed by Mr. Adi Lukman, Chairman of Indonesian Food and Beverage Association, discussing food processing, sanitation challenges and solutions, which is a very crucial topic in nowadays, where the sanitation and hygiene is of the key issue for the consumers. And we would end the event with an update on implementation of Halal Products Assurance Act and critical points of dairy products from Ms. Muti Arnavati, the Vice Director of the LPPM MUI. Now, I would like to briefly introduce our expert speaker to you. Mr. Hengki Wibawa, as I said, is the Indonesian Packaging Federation Executive Director, and he is the one who will be joining me right now. Mr. Hengki, if you would be so pleased to join us.
Yep. Thank
would it
you.
be possible for you to join and open your camera feed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will give the stage to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Timothy, from the Ringia event. Good morning to you, and good day for the other part of the attendees, I believe. And this is a great honor, this time again, cooperation between the Ringia event and Indonesian Packaging Federation. Uh, Usually we used to have it in Jakarta, I believe, but this time due to this our global situation today, that we get used to do it virtual. So in this case, as I mentioned, I will giving some picture about the packaging today. What is the issues, and what is the opportunity, and what is the challenging. So the topic is improvement in functionality in sustainable packaging. Next. Yeah. So regarding the packaging market today, all over the world, I take it as main issues today is the first, regarding what we really experience today, is we know that everyone is getting more have awareness on health and wellness. And this is also in regards to packaging, definitely. And then secondly is regarding, that in this region, especially in Southeast Asia,
Hello. Hello. It would seem that Mr. Henke had some connection issues. Let's hope that he will rejoin us in a moment. Um, give Mr. Henke a minute more. I hope that he can reload his he can restore his internet connection. Okay, so let's give Mr. Henke some time to fix his connection issues. And in this case, thank you, Mr. Mark, for joining us, and we will move to the second point of our agenda, hopefully without any further problems. And we will switch the speaker number 2 with speaker number 1. So thank you very much, Mr. Mark, for supporting us in this situation, and I will give you the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me?
So you can start voice, and the audio is very good. Yes, okay. Both your video and audio is very good, so you can please start
thank you very much. Okay, so I will talk about the new technologies, and particularly I'm going to be talking about blockchain. That's a word you may have heard a lot about. I want to try to take some of the mystery away about what is blockchain, why does anyone use it. I'll try and go through the key points quite quickly to give you an idea, and then we can talk more in the questions. So I'll just move. My apologies. There we go. I'm just having a bit of trouble with my screen. There we go. So I work with a company called Aglive, and what we're trying to do is to join the farm all the way through to the consumer. So the farmer gets to find out more information about where their products are being sold, what is in demand, and things that they can't see in the current situation. And for consumers, we want the consumer to be able to go back and find out, was this product truly organically grown? What sort of chemicals were used? Were the animals treated well? Is it really a halal product? Those sorts of things. We know consumers want to know more than they're getting at the moment. Now, the way we do this, if we start looking at the middle of this diagram, you'll see there's animals and plants, and we're working in various sectors: beef, food and fruit and vegetables, and also in the medicinal cannabis sectors. So we can track things from the farm down to the production line, using the transport companies and the logistics and the warehouses down to the distributor and the retailer. So that's going down in the middle. To the left of that, we're getting the farm information, processing information, transport information, etc. All that goes into the blockchain, and we can talk about that more in a minute. And we can add to that other information, the Internet of Things, temperature, humidity, location, those sorts of information, customer information, partner information, and of course, artificial intelligence. We can do machine learning to take all that data and to unlock new insights into what is actually happening. Now, another way we can describe a blockchain is a data lake. So if we go across to the right-hand side there, all that information flows into that data lake, and then information can be shared back to each level of the supply chain. And of course, the information can go out to a new set of people as well, which is customs and regulators, to consumers, to alliance partners that provide various services. They could be people that certify organic information, or accountants, or anyone else. And of course, you have analytics. Once you have that pool of information, interesting things can happen. Now, the next thing that we're working on is to build this great ecosystem. So as I said, we do production insights and life cycle and management tools at Aglive, but we can link in with universities, and we're working with about 4 different universities at the moment. We can work in with IoT and AI, and it all comes together. All this useful information can come together to build something that's not possible at the moment. The way the world is set up is we have these very good systems locked into one company, and the next company has a very good system too. But it's the joining of the together of 2 or more or many companies and joining that information into a data lake. That's when interesting things happen. And so cutting aside all the fancy talk about blockchain, it really is, it's just another way to store data. If you want to store data in your own company, a database is much better than blockchain. Blockchain is a new technology. It's got its limitations, but it works great in a secure way to protect privacy and to share information between different data silos. So if you want to stick with your own system, that's fine. If you want to share information with multiple people, then blockchain is something to start considering. The way we do it is and I'll explain this quite simply, and I can answer more later, is we take items and we give each item, say meat, each packet of meat, we can give that an identity. We can bundle those identities up into a carton, and we can give the carton an identity. We can bundle the cartons up into a pallet. We can give the pallet an identity, and the pallets can be bundled up into a container, and we can identify the container. And then we can track those movements all the way down through the supply chain. And then when it gets to the distributor and pallets start to go here and other pallets start to go there, we can do the exact opposite. We say it's like the Russian dolls. You can stack it up and then you can break it back down to its smallest piece again later. Now, with the current situation, we know there's many risks, and unfortunately, supply chain risks have been really exposed in 2020. There's many other. There's economic risks that people are managing, environmental risks, and there's also technology risks. And we're working on trying to at least address some of those risks where people can have more control over the products they're buying and more control over how their products are being distributed. The end aim, as I said, is that people know, the consumers, whether they're in a restaurant or at home, know where their food is coming from. They know how it got to them, how it was produced, and who produced it. Of course, once you have that information, if there is a food recall, it can be done very quickly and very effectively and save a lot of costs. There was an example in Australia a couple of years ago now where rock melons, cantaloupes is another name for the fruit, were infected with listeria, and it affected all the rock melons all over Australia. No one could sell their rock melons. 7 people died from the outbreak, and it took 2 weeks to even figure out which state the rock melons came from. In the end, it turned out to be just one farm, but because there was no quick way to identify things, the Australia-wide, every rock melon farmer lost their product. No one would buy them. So this is the advantage of better identification of products. As I mentioned earlier, we can say, look at the on-farm data. We can then give identities to each of those products. We can track them through the supply chain. We can add in IoT data. We can have delivery information. And at the end, the consumer is able to verify that data. The way we do this is, or why we do this, we are committed to trying to bring back integrity and credibility to supply chains. We probably all know the stories about a lot of the world's honey is fake. A lot of the world's olive oil is fake. Some of these products don't just have bad ingredients or substandard ingredients. Sometimes they even have toxic substances, rat poison, antifreeze, boric acid. There's all sorts of terrible stories out there. So we're working to try to fix that, to be sure when you buy something for your family and you pay a good price for it, you should be able to get a good quality product. Many of us are willing to pay a premium price because we want the thing to be organic, or if it's eggs, we want it to be cage-free eggs. We are willing to pay, but we don't want to pay and be tricked. We really want to know what we're paying for is worth the extra money. And this is the proposition for producers too. If they can satisfy that question, they can charge a higher price because people have more confidence that it is worth the higher price. So we've done a number of trials. One we did with wine trial. We worked with DP World, one of the world's largest port companies. They have 77 terminals around the world. We worked with Hamburg Sud, the shipping line, DB Schenker, a very large packaging company in Australia, Visi, and with a wine company. And that wine shipment was taken from South Australia up to Shanghai. We've also done meat trials. We're working with Meat and Livestock Australia. That's the industry body, meat brands, and we've worked with Cathay Pacific as well. So we have these powerful tools. We believe instead of paperwork, which farmers have to fill in a lot of paperwork at the moment, we've taken all that and we've put it into apps. And we've done that in working with Meat and Livestock Australia to make it easier for farmers to be compliant with the government regulations about food safety, what chemicals they've used, are the animals transported in a safe way. The app, here's an example of it. So this is one of our meat customers. The scan of the QR code can then be checked. It checks that the meat is genuine and says to the producer, no threat is detected. This is a safe product. And if there is a problem, we can alert the consumer to take extra care. There can be extra product information, delivery history, how the product got to them. There can be a map of how it got there. And of course, there can be also scan history. Now, the other thing that we can do is to put a certificate in there. So if the product has a halal certificate, the consumer can check that certificate and be confident that a genuine certificate has been issued for this product and it is halal certified. And that again will give them extra confidence to buy that product and perhaps even make them willing to pay a higher price for it. We've done milk trials as well. As I said, we're working in medicinal cannabis, a very big industry, and I'm quite open to answering any questions. I wanted to keep that part of the presentation short, but now please ask me anything you would like and I will go deeper into questions.
Seems thank you very much
Is there
for
any
the
questions anyone would
presentation.
like me to answer?
Yes, we do have a question. Could I have a question?
So I'll
Yes.
read out the question if that helps. Are standards being developed in the blockchain industry, and will they be compatible with GS1 standards? Yes, I've participated about, I think it was in late 2018, where the Australian government brought people from, I think, about 20 countries to Australia to participate in a standards meeting, and it was organised by Standards Australia, and Australia and New Zealand share their standards operations, and it was all about developing new standards for supply chain, and there are some new standards being developed, particularly for blockchain. They're not here yet. These things tend to move slowly. Maybe in another year or two, we can expect them. GS1 is also working on standards. And of course, we are not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're quite happy to work with those standards, because the main thing is, at the end of the day, we need to build systems that can talk to each other. In the early days of the internet, people put up websites that were just like a brochure. They were just an advertising, and often they were really not very attractive. They really looked like a printed page, and they'd put that up on the internet. Eventually, they got smarter, built better websites, more attractive. They learned how to communicate with people better online. And then they said, well, if I've got a travel website, I could link up airlines, I could link up hotels, rental cars, maybe even bookings for tours, all sorts of things. But to do that, the airline had to talk to the travel agent, then they had to talk to the hotels. You had to bring all that together using standards and common systems. That is where blockchain will eventually go. The next question I have here is, what do you think about digital watermarks? Digital watermarks are fine. That's another standard of trying to protect things, and anything that is protective is useful. In our system, we're not so much concerned about the type of protection, whether it's a QR code or RFID, NFC. Really, what we talk about 3 layers of protection. The identity, such as a watermark or a QR code, is just 1 layer. The next layer we work on is joining or tracking where that identity moved all the way through the supply chain. And then the third one, and the reason why we use blockchain, is it has a feature called no double spend. And the idea there is that once a code has been used, it can't be used again. And why that's important is that's the exact opposite of what counterfeiters do, is they take a code and they make 10,000 copies of it. If they can only sell that code once, then all those copies have no commercial value. And I will go on to another question here. Blockchain has been growing in popularity, particularly in recent times. How do you see this increased awareness And is there greater willingness now to adopt this new technology? I think that's definitely true. We've been going for a few years now, and in the early days, a lot of people wanted to just get educated. What is blockchain? Then we went through a phase where everyone got distracted with what was called ICOs and the whole cryptocurrency thing. We did not get involved in that. We just want to protect products and make it better for consumers and producers. Now all of that has faded away, and we're starting to see really genuine interest in adoption. People are starting to really understand it's about joining data silos together, and they can understand the advantages of that. So we're seeing a lot of changes in interest in the industry. So yes, things have changed a lot. Is there any other questions anyone would like to answer?
The three questions that we had from the audience. So I would like to thank you very much for the informative and very interesting presentation. I do think that we will see much more of this kind of technology used for securing the intellectual property rights. Oh, we have one just right now who submitted a question. So let me put it here for you.
Okay, thank you. So how does Aglive verify the truth of the information provided by farmers or suppliers? This is a very important question. In relation to farmers, I said we're working with Meat and Livestock Australia. So there are already paper declarations that farmers have to submit to the government. Now, there is an honesty system there, but there are also penalties for false declarations. So we're not trying to develop this ourselves. The government requirements are there. We are working with that government body, and we're now taking it from paper to mobile phones. But the other thing we say to people is we're not trying to tell you you should trust brand A or brand B. We're not product police. All we're saying is if you trust product A, we can tell you this item genuinely came from a company A factory, and we have tracked it all the way through the supply chain until it reached you. Those decisions about who to trust, that's a question for the consumer themselves.
We still have a little bit time, and yes, and there is one more question, so if you could answer.
Do we have time for this question?
Yes, we still have a time, so please.
Okay. So what product information do consumers usually want to see in packaging labels? I think that we're trying to build a tool that's very flexible. In fact, in our tool, we don't build the product information. The brand owner has the ability to use our platform to create the information they think their consumer needs for their product. Now that changes from one type of product to another. For example, if it's meat, we're obviously all very concerned about the temperature it's being kept in. We may want it to be organic. There are organic declarations made to the government by the Australian beef producer. There's also declarations made to the Australian government about what chemicals the animals have been exposed to and how long ago. There's laws that prevent the meat being sold too close to the chemicals being used. And if it's, say, a product like medicinal cannabis, a lot of the uses of that are for very ill people who are being treated for cancer and taking chemotherapy. It helps with the vomiting. It's also useful for children that have medical problems. So there, the real issue is, does this product have the exact amount of ingredients it should have? Not too little, not too much. So there's a type of differences. And as I said, we don't create that information. We provide the tool for the product producer to create that information. There is one more. I don't know how much more time I've got to go here.
And this will be the last one.
Could you please elaborate on how blockchain addresses transparency issues and the opportunities the technology provides? The transparency is that you are able to track things as they move along the supply chain. You can also link to a product. So some of the transparency you've got there is you do know whether this product did come from the factory you think it came from, or from the brand that you think it came from. If there is government certificates that are issued, if there's other sort of documentation, halal certification, that can all be attached to that product. And you can check, has this product been certified, or is this brand certified, or is this shipment certified to be? So there's all levels of transparency there. And then the last one is, because it's a mobile phone, you can, or mobile device, there's immediate, it's right at the store shelf. You've got two products in front of you, product A, product B. One has got blockchain information that gives you all that information. The other one is standard packaging. In that moment, that magic moment, when a consumer decides whether to buy something, product A, or to buy product B, hopefully the transparency that blockchain provides will encourage them to buy product A. Thank you very much.
We have Mr. Henke back, so hopefully we will be able to.
Run out of time here. Have I run out of time?
Yes, I mean, this is the last question that we have. So I would like to thank you very much. If there will be more questions, I would like to let everybody know that you can still ask questions to Mr. Mark Tuhey, and we will pass those questions to him so he can answer them to you later by email. So please, if you have any more questions to Mr. Tuhey, don't be shy to ask them on the chat. We will follow up on them. And now I would like to thank you, Mr. Mark, and I would like to invite back Mr. Henke so he can maybe continue his presentation.
Well, sorry for that. So I believe I better without the video. Yeah, I was talking about the trend in the global market packaging today. So the next slide, please. Okay. Yeah. So the next that I would like to raise the issue about the life cycle thinking that today is getting more important, especially if we are talking about the packaging materials today, the post-consumers and so on. So the life cycle thinking is a way of thinking that includes not only regarding the environmental that we have to see, but also regarding the social and economy. So the consequences of the process of the whole entire life. Next. So regarding the packaging, what we talk today is a sustainable packaging. What is that about? The whole sustainable packaging we are talking about from the beginning to the end after the after the use, the post-consumer waste in this case. That is the packaging about. So we are not talking only about the post-consumer waste, but the whole life cycle. So the life cycle assessment, LCA, is a very useful instrument in that case, in order that we can really see the impact of the environmental totally, not only on the post-consumer waste. And talking about the sustainable packaging, that is not only regarding the legislation, in that particular is a government green, but we're talking also about the consumer green, which is the consumer is getting more understand and should be well educated what is the purpose of the packaging and what is the impact of the packaging as the whole end of life. And we're talking also about the technology. In this case, we are talking about the scientific green. So the whole become what we call it business green. Next. I have to. Can you make a next, please? Yes. So if you're talking about the packaging actually, and especially in this particular is a plastic packaging, that is not only talking about the post-consumer, as I mentioned before, but we are talking about the functionality of the packaging itself. You know that the basic functionality is that protect the product which need to be packed. And then in that packaging usually consists of the consumer information. There's something that you want to see what is the inside. So the packaging itself is a matter of portioning and handling for the logistic purpose, for example. And definitely this is a product. As I mentioned, this is a business, and we are talking about the marketing. Next. So today,
It would seem that we've lost Mr. Henke again. Please let us provide this video for a short technical break while we try to reestablish connection with him. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience.
阮这个公司吼，就是蔬菜加工的机械、水产的机械、畜产的机械，所以真占伫讲阮的这个肉品啦吼，啊，甲这个水产的机械生产啦，会使讲全国啊，阮占差不多第一啦。
Okay, can I continue, please?
Yes, please continue. Thank you very much for joining us again.
Sorry for that. So we are talking about the eco design in this case. So start from the whole decision that we have to do in order that to make it to meet the circular economy that I mentioned earlier. So the eco design is talking about not only regarding the post consumer, but also regarding what we have to protect, what kind of product we have to protect, and then the consumer safety. In this case, if that food is regarding the food safety. So the whole minimization of the environmental impact is also include the whole functionality of the packaging design itself. So what we see today, a whole requirement of the eco design of packaging is a lot of become more complexity in that case. So we are talking about material efficiency. We're talking about the design of the recycling, and that means recyclable and so on. And so that is this is the whole challenge that we have seen. So we move away from the linear economy, which is only take, make, and waste it, but we go further into the circular economy. In that case, we're talking about sustainable economy, but it's not only regarding the waste management, but also resources management in this case. That we have to know that. Next. So what is the circular economy about? We learn from the water cycle, for example. You know that water, you come, you get the water from the earth or from the river or from the ocean. That's just all the water. And where they come from is from the whole evaporation that coming from the down to from the earth and then go up and then coming back as a rain, for example. That is the whole water cycle today. So that is the circular economy we're talking about. In that case, it's much important the whole technology. We have to really separate any kind of packaging material that could be recyclable, that to be recycled and to be reused again. So that is the whole technology that we have to manage. We have to use it, and we have to process it. And that particular circular economy, the elements, the whole properties that we have to see, that is not only regarding collection, how to collect, how to educate the consumer, educate the stakeholders in that case, and we need also funding. We need also financing in that case. So the government policy is not good enough. Yeah, the government policy that we have to implement, and the whole stakeholders should be involved in that. And as I mentioned, that we need also how to finance, how to subsidize, and everything. So that is the whole eco design into the circular economy. And better than current, the whole circular economy that we have to do is improving the whole what we earlier mentioning regarding the legislation, the implementation, and then the social impact on that, and definitely also the technological and economic feasibility that we have to really understand. I give you, for example, which is where I lived about 13 years ago. Sorry, 13 years in Germany, about 30 years ago. This is the in Germany. They call it there, so-called the dual system Deutschland. So this is the whole system, the ecosystem, in order to make it into the circular economy. That you can see here is a lot of benefits that you can really get it. The packaging redesign is getting more into lightweighting and elimination of unessential packaging and the increased use of concentrates and refill packs. So the product is also getting more safer and also good for the whole consumer, beneficiary for the whole consumer. And this is the initial stage that what we see today in Europe, that we call it circular economy design principle. For example, I gave you an example is circular economy in flexible packaging, CFlex, which is they're going into more the eco design in the packaging is going more to be recyclable in order to be recyclable, but still meet the whole functionality that I mentioned before regarding the protection. If the food is regarding the whole shelf life, you need the barrier packaging and so on and so on. But that is really that we have to do as a design principle in the future, including in Indonesia as well, of course. So you may see here the whole guidelines that has been done in Europe. This is the guidelines of flexible packaging in the phase 1, that in order to make the recyclability, that from the multi-layer that today, which is not able to be recycled, they move to any kind of a new material, new development of material that can be recycled. That is very much important, and this is needed, of course, a lot of efforts, a lot of education, a lot of development, a lot of research in this case. And this is the whole guidelines that, which is we need also in every country today. So what is the benefit in the whole from the objective recycling and reuse in the circular economy? First, reduce the use of natural raw materials. As I mentioned, this is not only regarding the waste management, this is also resources management. Assist the government in prevention of pollution due to plastic waste, which is the most issue today. You know, regarding the ocean, plastic, marine debris, and so on and so on. So energy saving, definitely. We're talking about life cycle assessment before. The energy saving is also much important in this case, regarding, you know, regarding the climate change and so on. So, and then provide the new new kind of material. Participating stakeholders is also include in this case, like Indonesia, we have so-called the waste banks and so on. And then
It would seem that Mr. Henke's internet today is really working against him. However, he managed to rejoin with a second account. Mr. Henke, are you still here?
That was the last slide anyway.
Okay, so let me go put the last slides of your presentation back on the screen. And please continue.
So this is the responsibility of the stakeholders, as my last slide is a collaboration between the whole stakeholders, in this case, the government, with the regulatory support, with the incentive on the plastic recycle industry, with the enforcement on minimum recycled content for the plastic goods, the whole legislation that we have to make it and implement it, and the private sectors, the business, the industry, that we need to improve the R&D in the industrial level, the partnership with the whole stakeholders, as I mentioned before, and the community that we have to educate. We really to get in with the compliance of the applicable regulation in many parts of the country. So I believe this is the whole collaboration, and I will finish my presentation by saying that we need in this particular initiative is a collaboration, innovation, and we can accelerate the whole movement, the whole circular economy that we are talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Henke. We have two questions for you, so I will put them on the screen right now. If you could, the first question would be, do you think each country needs to develop the packaging design and recycling guidelines that for any FMCG stakeholders the ecosystem can follow to minimize packaging waste and to improve recycling rates?
Definitely. Definitely. I believe that as I mentioned earlier, that we committed with the circular economy. We need really to have the guidelines in order that the whole stakeholder can work on regarding the packaging design for the packaging industry, and then the recycling guidelines in order that we really can collect, to separate, to segregate, and then to recycle based on the technology on each country. So that is the whole guidelines that we have to move on with the whole stakeholder, as I mentioned before.
Thank you. We have one more question. How would be the implementation initiatives with target groups standard for recyclability assessment and track and traceability tool like labels to be designed?
Well, this is a very, very interesting question. I believe that I can follow before Mark Tuhey regarding the whole technology that we can implement it today, the digital solution. So we're talking here about the recyclability assessment. We need the whole information exchange. We need the communication in that case. So track and traceability has become very important. So as I mentioned before, that the whole ecosystem that we have to build in, we need really to track and trace each mail that we use. That in order to be recycled, we need really for the track and traceability, which is a very much the whole technology available today. With the like we hear from the first speaker before. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Even though a bit troubled with the connection issues, I'm happy that we managed to go through your presentation. And now I would like to welcome Mr. Thomas De Bruin from Veolia Water Technologies. Mr. Thomas will be joining us to talk about ingredient water, a key component for quality products. Welcome, Mr. Thomas. I'm happy that you managed to join us. I will
Good
assist you
afternoon.
with
Can you
your
hear me well?
presentation. Yes, the sound is clear and the video is good as well. So I will give you the stage to talk with our audience right now. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very lucky, just on time. Good afternoon, everyone. Very happy and pleased to be with you all. We are going to have a quick introduction to ingredient water. Water is very often overlooked as a key component and a key ingredient in the food and beverage industry. I will come back on some key principles, how treatment works, some of the risks, and how we can mitigate the risks associated with water used as an ingredient. Next slide, please. Thank you. That's a quick overview of our organization. Veolia Water Technology, we provide technology associated with the treatment of water. So we come back on that later, but that would be treatment associated with processed water, ingredient water, utility water, but of course, treatment of waste water before discharge, and even reuse and recycle. So we have over 350 proprietary technologies around our branch, especially tailored for the food and beverage industry for many different applications. Next slide. Now, what are the challenges in the food and beverage industry? Obviously, maximize production time. Okay, we need consistent quality of water across the board, available at all time and at any time. So usually, water in our DNA is readily available and it's provided by the different utilities around us. But we all understand that if water is not really available, either to be used in the production of the food and our beverage, or for our utilities and cleaning services and the like, it's going to have an immediate effect on the production line. Now, optimization of water usage is also key. Even though today water is heavily subsidized, costs associated with water, either as an ingredient or utility, and costs associated with treatment before discharge, and in some instances we use, is increasing over time. Sorry, I have a bit of a glitch. Compliance is another also a key driver in the food and beverage industry. For us to be able to discharge the water into the environment or through a trade waste agreement with a local utility, we have to ensure that the product is safe and compliant to be discharged. And if it's not, it can be accompanied with heavy fines on non-compliance and breaches in the trade waste contract, which can be accompanied in some extreme cases with a shutdown of the entity. So all of this, we need strong expertise to understand how to accompany the client and the different customers across the three main drivers, even if they are not the only one in the food and beverage industry, of course. Next slide. Here's a quick map, of course, standardized map of the food and beverage side. So water would intervene, of course, as an effluent. So you will need some basic water treatment, especially if you use surface water or bore water to be used as a utility, cooling towers, boilers, and the like, cleaning the tank. But on the other side as well, there will be anything to do on the wastewater treatment side and even recycle. So the most usual cases for recycling will be involved in recycling the wastewater for discharge or some of the wastewater for discharge to be reused as utility water. What we're going to focus on today is the water used as an ingredient, very commonly called today as ingredient waters. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. So why is water a key component? First of all, we have to protect the public image. Okay, so as you understand, water has a direct impact on the product quality, taste, odor, and visual parameter as well. So we have to be super careful about the contamination, and we have to be super careful about a lot of different parameters in the water we use as an ingredient, because this can impact the taste, the odor, and we have to be super careful it is consistent. Also, an important parameter to keep in mind as well is the food and beverage industry today is especially growing in Indonesia by far, in area where water scarcity is an issue. Therefore, if water scarcity is an issue, the cost associated with treatment of your water would increase, and different type of treatment in a scarce area, you have a higher chance to have water with issues with taste, odor, or different species in your water that you definitely don't want to end up in your product as well. So more you're in a water scarce area, more you have chances to have an issue with your final product at the end. Okay. Now, as always, whatever the season, especially during peak demand, you want readily available water at all times. You don't want to be in a situation where you have water shortage or high quality water shortage for you to be able to manufacture your product. Next slide. So here is a quick overview of the different technologies. I'm not going to go into much detail. It's not the purpose of the call today, but usually you go through a pre-treatment step. After that, in number 2, either multimedia filter or use ultrafiltration filter to remove the suspended solid in place. And then we go through a filter called activated carbon. So the idea of activated carbon is to remove any chlorine that you will have in your water, which is usually forming part of the tap water. Why? Not to damage the membrane treatment that you will do downstream. Cartridge filtration and UV filtration. UV filtration to remove some of the bacteriological activity in your water before you go to the reverse osmosis in number 6, which will be the final barrier as a very, very, very fine membrane, reverse osmosis, which will be your last resort before your water is in contact with the food from the manufacturing. More importantly, the process downstream to distribute your end water product in the different production line is as important as your production. So you will want to ensure that your water is safe and free of contaminant at the end user point on your factory as well. Next slide, please. So let's come back to the baseline, legal requirement. So the legal requirement will always require that the water used as an ingredient comply with the drinking water guideline in the country. Okay, so this will ensure that you basically monitor your chemical, bacteriology, the amount of oxidant, chlorine, and so forth in your water, of course, radioactivity as well, to ensure that your water is potable and that your water is safe to drink and therefore safe to put in your water as an ingredient. So with that, you will have different legislation and a requirement for you to use specific material, equipment, and chemical to ensure that your water is safe to drink, therefore, and your water is safe to eat as well, if it's part of your product as well. But not only. Next slide, please. Above that, you will have business-driven requirements. So, and it is definitely applicable to the soft drink industry. The water you use, even though we all think that water is water, as a matter of fact, it's far from the truth. The water must have a positive influence on the taste of your beverage. Of course, it has to be crystal clear. It has to be biologically perfect as well. We shouldn't undermine the impact you can have on a few bacteria on your process line. And it should be, of course, readily available at all times. So it should be free of taste, odor, turbidity, alkalinity, especially in the soft drink industry, microbial control, and maximum availability. So on the top of the legal requirement to ensure that your water is safe to drink and eat, there would be business-driven requirement depending on the product that we are manufacturing to ensure that we do not impact on the quality of the product. And again, to come back on the beginning of the presentation, your water could be coming from different sources, and your water quality could differ based on the time of the year or the rain event and the like, and this could have an impact on the quality of your product as well. So all of this needs to be kept under control. As I explained earlier, the treatment steps to ensure that your water is safe to drink and eat is important, but also ensuring that your water remains safe as well along your entire factory is as important. Next slide. Another specific product and a sub-market which is highly sensitive to the water is the infant and baby formula. So there are extremely strict safety and quality standards put into place today for two main issues. First of all, a few studies have demonstrated that chloride, which is a byproduct of chlorine, which is put in water, in the tap water, to ensure that your water remains free of bacteria, end up in the end product. And unfortunately, chloride in the byproduct for baby formula can have significant consequences for babies. So there are very strict rules today, well above the regulation for drinking water standard, to ensure that the water used in the formulation and fabrication of baby and infant formula, amount of chloride is very, very low. Another thing to look at as well are the leachables. So the leachables are the small substances you're going to find in your water, which would come from the material in contact with your water as well, especially plastics. So we need to ensure that the material we use and the design philosophy used as well is going to stop the release of what we call phthalates, which would be specific substances that we use in water, which again could be very harmful to babies and infants in that type of manufacturing plant as well. So that one step up again above business requirement for soft drinks, but also above legal requirement for a drinking water guideline. Next step, please. So for us to be able to do that, we have looked deeply and we have developed specific capabilities aligned with what is called the European Hygienic Engineering and Design guideline. Okay, so to put it very simply, we basically consider that the water that will be used in the fabrication and formulation of food is going to be considered as food. So the way we are going to design, the way we are going to manufacture, the way we're going to operate and service the equipment to manufacture ingredient water is going to be done under exactly the same way that the Food Machinery Directive. So therefore, water equals food. So that directive has been developed especially on liquid food like ketchup and syrup, for instance, and it is today a must-have to avoid contamination. And we have extended this type of guideline from design philosophy to operation on the water side as well to avoid any risks. Next slide, please. So a quick overview of the benefits, obviously, compliance to ensure that we minimize the risk with microbial contamination. Green as well, because by having such processed water treatment plant on site, we optimize the risks for uptime and we minimize the water use as well for cleanup and so forth. Uptime is extremely important. So anything to do with cleaning, maintenance cycles and so forth is optimized to lower the amount of byproduct to its maximum, but also to ensure you have a plant uptime. Traceability, of course, to see where the water is going and where it's coming from, cost optimization, and social sustainability. Next slide, please. So here's a quick overview of one of the products we have in our portfolio. I wanted to bring that up. Why? The main difference is that product is already pre-packaged, pre-engineered, and it's 100% turnkey. So it's a very affordable solution which has been developed specifically for the food and beverage industry. So that reverse osmosis kit is comprised already on the skid pre-treatment option, reverse osmosis membrane to remove any chloride, any dissolved species in your water, for you to be able to have available water to be used in your food and beverage product, especially for highly sensitive manufacturing sites like baby and infant formula and soft drinks. So the pipe and fittings have been designed and manufactured in stainless steel, food grade and potable water certified. And on the permeate side, so where the water is going to be used for the fabrication, has been done according to the food certification and guideline to minimize any contamination as much as possible, of course. So that plant is not going to leach any contaminant just such as phthalate and chloride in the product, and definitely not in the final product as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in a nutshell, it's being packaged and designed especially for soft drinks and baby formula manufacturers, where ingredient water is absolutely critical for different drivers. It's going to provide water quality consistency regardless of the water quality uptake. Of course, we need to do a study to see if the water will be able to be treatable, or if we need to add further pre-treatment steps, which we all have in the range. But you're going definitely to be able to achieve water quality consistency downstream using such a skid and minimize any risk. The uptime would be optimized as well. We're going to use high quality design, high quality manufacturing component as well, using the top of the range PLC, cabinet and skid and so forth. The water will be free of taste, free of odor, and of course, above all, microbial control will be key, especially on the permeate side. And this product has been designed and manufactured with peace in mind in place, especially for the highly sensitive food and beverage manufacturers in that area. Next slide. And that's all for me. I think we have 5 more minutes for question on time. So if you have any question, please feel free to email me, but also we have local representation in Indonesia. It's important to know we have the ability to work with you, to visit your plant, understand your needs, but also provide ongoing support and ongoing maintenance to your site equipment as well, which is as important as the equipment itself to ensure uptime and good quality of ingredient and water. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. De Bruyn. I believe that I actually learned quite a lot because, you know, we all know that the water is important and you should drink a lot of it, not only sodas. But I must say that I haven't been aware of how crucial and how complicated actually is securing a proper and stable quality of water for your manufacturing processes. So I believe that there will be some emails. Right now we have 2 questions that I will read to you aloud. We have, first question is, are pre-engineered treatment solutions more cost effective?
Well, it is, for the simple reason that it is pre-engineered, so there is no engineering work required. It's much faster for us to commission and install the equipment. There are no civil work involved as well. So, of course, there will be limitation in regards to the flow rate and design requirement, but the idea for us is to have an off-the-shelf water treatment skid and plant, which will significantly reduce the cost of the water treatment in that regard. To give you an indication for the skid that I just put on the screen before, the typical flow rate would be between 5 meter cubes an hour to up to 25 meter cubes of hours of ingredient water.
Okay, and the second question would be, do you see hygienic design as becoming more relevant to manufacturers of milk here in Southeast Asia?
So in the manufacturing of milk, no, because we don't need water to manufacture milk. But to manufacture milk powder, yes, 100%. So the issue is that in the manufacturing of baby, infant formula, and milk powder as well, can you still hear me? Because the screen has...
I think there's a short disruption in the internet, but I can see that the microphone is actually active from Mr. Thomas. So let's give him a second to see if he manages to reconnect. Okay, yes, we have Mr. Thomas back. So if you could please continue your answer. Sorry, I guess the internet is not liking us today.
Okay, so I was going to say, for the milk by itself, no, you don't need water. But for milk powder, yes. Two things. The first is to manufacture milk powder, you need water, and you need water to convey, and you need water to basically clean your tanks, clean your truck, and so forth. And by accumulation, you can end up with a fair amount of chlorate in your end product.
It would seem that the connection to Australia is also not the best today. Perhaps if I disable my video feed, it will support Mr. Thomas's reconnection. Oh, it would seem that we lost Mr. Thomas for good right now. But don't worry, we will be happy to provide the answer for this question later through email. Now we are reaching the break time of our conference, so please enjoy a short refreshment time, and we will get back to the event in about 15 minutes at 2:40 p.m. Jakarta time. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
阮这个公司吼，就是蔬菜加工的机械、水产的机械、畜产的机械，所以真占提讲阮的这个肉品啦吼，甲这个水产的机械生产啊，会使讲全国啊，阮占差不多第一啦。 阮这个公司就是蔬菜加工的机械、水产的机械、畜产的机械，所以真占提讲阮的这个肉品甲这个水产的机械生产会使讲全国阮占差不多第一啦。阮这个公司就是蔬菜加工的机械、水产的机械、畜产的机械，所以真占提讲阮的这个肉品甲这个水产的机械生产会使讲全国阮占差不多第一啦。
Welcome back to ASEAN Food and Beverage Manufacturing Summit. We will be starting now our panel discussion about the role of innovation by startup enterprises. So I would like to invite Mr. Mafi Cao from Big Ideas Venture to join us and moderate this panel discussion. I would also like to invite all of our panelists to turn on their cameras and microphones and join us here at the moment. Matthew, I will give you the floor.
All right. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Let's check with Betty first. Hi, Betty. Can you hear us? So sorry for a bit of the technical challenges. Let me see how we can get Betty online.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to open up my video and it says maximum number of video streams have been reached. So I can't actually activate my camera. Apologies.
Okay, I think that's the case. Maybe Timothy, if you can help Betty to see if she's able to connect the camera. But meanwhile, I would say let's start the panel discussion. I think that would be we shouldn't delay further on the time. So Timothy, once you're able to help her to activate her camera, then that'll be good. So hi everyone. Well, thank you so much for attending these sessions to talk about the startup innovation.
Sorry, let me just jump in for a second. Miss Betty, I think your camera should be able to turn it on now. If you could please check. I think we're getting you online, although right now it's just.
Okay, awesome.
I think we're connecting.
Yes. Can you see me?
All right.
Yes, we're good. Okay, so I'll leave you the floor and thank you.
All right, thank you, Timothy. So sorry for the technical difficulties and had a bit of delay, but thank you so much everyone for attending this panel discussion about startup innovation. Today, I'm very happy that we're able to get three awesome entrepreneurs that they're looking to developing using products using alternative protein, and that and also to see how they can change the food industry, having different innovative ingredient and processes. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Dr. Matthew Shao. I'm the food scientist at Big Ideas Ventures, and I'll be the moderator for today. We have on stage, we have Betty from Confetti Fine Food. I'll let her introduce herself shortly. And we have Alejandro from Fan Foods. And also lastly, we have Stephen from WTH Foods. So without further ado, we shall let Betty introduce herself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Betty from Confetti Snacks. We are here to actually craft the most amazing award-winning nutrient-dense snacks crafted from Aglive produce. So we aim to reduce the huge problem of food waste, at the same time allow people to eat the colors of the rainbow. And we donate a portion of our proceeds to help feed the hungriest people in the world. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Next, we will let Stephen to introduce himself. He's from WTH Foods. Over to you, Stephen.
Hi, can you hear me, Matthew?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Stephen. I'm the founder and CEO of WTH Foods. We are a plant-based alternative protein company based in the Philippines. So we make plant-based meat that's suitable for the Philippine market, and we also use local sustainable ingredients from our small-scale farmers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Last but not least, you have Alejandro from Penn Foods. Over to you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So my name is Alejandro. I'm the founder and CEO of Fun Foods. We produce plant-based meat alternative here in Australia, Queensland. And yeah, we are very focused on sustainability and producing the best delicious substitute that we can get.
Yeah, thank you, Alejandro, for the kind introduction. So we are really very fortunate to have three different startup companies from three different countries. Betty from Singapore, we have Stephen from Philippines, and also Alejandro from Australia. So this is to give a very diverse introduction of different companies. So what we know that recently there's a rapid shift to alternate protein industry where people start to use different alternative protein or such as plant-based ingredient to create their products. And we also look at the statistics to show that there's also increase in the consumers that tries to work towards a vegan diet or vegetarian diet, or even to reduce their meat consumption in their diet over the couple of years. So this is something that we saw a really huge change in the consumer diet, and as well the innovation that we have seen in the alternate protein space. So I would like to ask the speaker, what makes you have the first step to think about using plant-based ingredient to innovate a new product and also to change the typical food industry, like just using the conventional or traditional ingredients? So what makes you jump on to be the first step of companies that use very innovative plant-based ingredient? So maybe I'll let Betty start first.
Okay, yeah, so I feel like, there are so many vegetables out there to experiment with. And I don't know, for some reason, 90% of the global snack aisle is just dominated by an ocean of yellow. So everything is either deep fried, extruded, deep fried potato chips, or they're extruded corn puffs. We really, really want people to actually eat the colors of the rainbow. Hence, we have used low starch veggies, which are really nutrient dense. And those that are ugly, they do not make the perfect exacting cosmetic standards which is required by supermarkets, and we turn them into award-winning snacks that are tasty, delicious, and we infuse them with the spices and recipes from where we come from, and that's Singapore. Yeah, so I feel like the ingredients that we use are so much more fun, and we are trying to make vegetables fun and yum for the world while resolving a huge environmental problem.
Yeah, that sounds really fun to use different like just ugly vegetables to create very tasty and nutritional snacks. I think it does definitely change the how consumer looks at snacks, not just the conventional unhealthy deep fried snacks, but also looking at healthy vegetable snacks. Let's move on to Stephen. Happy to hear what's your take to jump on to using alternate protein as your key ingredients to create your products.
Yeah, so the Philippines is one of the largest market for protein. We consume $81 billion worth, making us the 20th largest market in the world. And the Philippines is also one of the most diverse, biodiverse countries. There's tons of legumes, plant-based proteins that haven't been explored yet. And we are that company that aims to explore local, sustainable, so we don't have to bring the ingredients all the way from China or the US and manufacture plant-based meat right here in the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean that's really good because like Philippines has a lot of meat eaters and definitely getting the challenges to come out with plant-based meat products is going to be challenging. So I just want to know, what sort of challenges do you face in order to produce a plant-based plant-based product in the Philippines? Because everybody loves meat in the Philippines. So is there any challenges that you have to overcome so that people get to be aware of your product and also to know the benefits of converting the normal traditional meat to your plant-based products?
Yeah, that's a huge challenge. The Philippines is a big meat-eating country, and it would be quite a challenge to convince Filipinos to shift to a more plant-based diet. Again, that's why it's also an opportunity. That's why it's also an opportunity for plant-based meat that actually tastes like meat and bites like meat, to convince Filipinos to convert into a more plant-based lifestyle. Given that, we also have lots of challenges on the ground. The Philippines is an archipelago. It's made up of 7,000 islands. We're all like separated. So bringing in the ingredients from one place to the other, logistics of our finished products are also like challenges. So we are, it's every day it's in our mind how to overcome these challenges, very unique challenges for the Philippines. And I'm sure it's the same with Indonesia, a bigger archipelago, but a very good, a big market as well for alternative proteins, I would say. Yeah, I would say the Philippines and Indonesia would have some similarities in terms of challenges, given the logistics is a bit fragmented.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a huge challenge, but so very happy to see how you can work towards the challenge and overcome it in the future as well. Yeah, let's move next to Alejandro. I know you are a chef and a very experienced chef, and what makes you have the next jump into using alternate protein to create products that is nutritional and beneficial, functional? So happy to hear your thoughts as well, Alejandro.
My thoughts on coming up with products, plant-based products, you mean?
Yeah, plant-based products.
So obviously, I've been working, for so many years on the food industry, and I realized there was a massive issue on how we feed the planet, how we feed people. So it was a no-brainer for me to look into this space, and then from obviously being a chef and being in the food industry to be a manufacturer of plant-based proteins is been a massive change. I think the opportunity and the growth is is amazing, and Australia is is a good place to start because the market is moving really quick and people are getting more into plant-based alternatives. The challenges I've seen so far are, obviously getting people to try. I think, it helps that Australia are very open, but still there is a few, it's still not quite as mainstream as people think. You see brands coming all the time, but we are probably a few years away from making plant-based meat completely mainstream, but we need that, we need more good options so people can try and say, okay, I will have this on weekly basis.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is always a step to push out the comfort zone, to bring in something very different to the consumers, especially to convince them, not really convince them, to show them the benefits of plant-based diet, using plant-based product in their diet. So that's something we can definitely happy to see how you can move things forward as well. Moving forward to the next area that I'd like to ask is regarding sustainability, because right now when consumers want to buy the product, they also look into the sustainability aspects. They want to know what sort of approach that the company has been using to adopt the sustainability portion and to see how they can really impact to, like, for instance, the climate change, the environmental, and how do you want to meet the increasing population by 2050. So there's a lot of different areas of sustainability to look at. So my first question goes to Alejandro. I know that you're trying to create the world's first carbon neutral company. So happy to hear how do you want to achieve that, and then what is your areas that you like to look forward to, and also the potential challenges and how you're going to overcome to be the world's first carbon neutral plant-based meat.
So yeah, I think it all starts from your willingness. If you set up a goal and then you look at how would that impact your company, is a good way to start. We are gonna start with one SKU, with one product that is gonna as you say, it's gonna be the world's first carbon neutral plant-based meat in the market. But the idea is by 2022 make the whole company carbon neutral, which I think it will be good if more and more companies do it, and probably in the next 5 years I reckon it's gonna be common, and that will really will set the bar for anyone talking about sustainability, because you can be saying plant-based meats obviously is much better than regular meat, especially if it's feedlots and factory farming. But in terms of taking the next step by assuring that you are carbon neutral, you are really making a statement and really committing to doing something that will make a massive change.
Yeah, definitely. I believe this is going to be a huge change and a very big things that you're looking for to be a carbon neutral, and definitely happy to see how you work towards that by 2022. Moving next, I'd like to ask Betty from Confetti on the way that how she wants to address sustainability. I know that you're using ugly vegetables, try to reduce food waste, because typically consumer wouldn't buy vegetables that looks ugly or looks very irregular shaped. So I know this is some of the approach you look into to address the global hunger issue. So happy to hear from you more about what is your approach and what you're looking for, and how do you want to bring in the sustainability onto the table.
Great question, Dr. Matthew. Yeah, so firstly, the ugly vegetables and fruits that are thrown away 40% every year actually contributes to so much food waste. And these food waste, when they decompose, release a lot of carbon emissions. So that is really bad. So if you can use these ugly veggies and craft them into amazing snacks, which is the highest grossing product in any supermarket aisle, we can really solve a huge problem. And to allow global consumers to have more veggies in their diet at the same time, really resolve the problem of food wastage and carbon emissions is something very meaningful to us. The other thing is that we do have a lot of partnerships on the table. We work with other food companies who also reduces, who really feels passionate about sustainability, and even the packaging. When we sell a bundle surprise box with different assorted flavors, the simple box, we can actually cut out the middle and line it with wax paper and soil to grow an upcycled planter box. So we're always thinking of ways of how we can, be sustainable in terms of the product itself and also the packaging. So, we can also upcycle packaging to a lot of other things, like maybe shelter for refugees, or even tents for the homeless people, or even tote bags or different home decor items, so they do not end up in the landfill. So these are some of the exciting ways we are working on to actually promote sustainability.
Yeah, it's really very fascinating about the way you look at not just to recycle to use the product in terms of the raw ingredient, ugly vegetable, but you also come in to talk about the packaging, how to be recycled and stuff, which is something I'm going to ask you later as well. So I'll hear more thoughts from you in terms of looking at packaging. But before that, I would like to ask Stephen as well. So do you have any practices in your companies that you adopt to address the sustainability portion in your company? So happy to hear your point of view as well.
Yeah, part of our core mission is addressing food loss. It's very big as well in the Philippines. Food loss in the Philippines is a major problem. 13 million tons of fruits and vegetables are lost every year. before reaching consumers. That's $10 billion worth of lost income for our farmers and food waste. So we try to help out by sourcing locally and from small-scale farmers. We also try to practice community shared agriculture, wherein we source from farmers that take care of the land and not this big industrial farms. So we bring it to our kitchen. We create. So we currently use around 50% of these ingredients in our products, and then for our kitchen scraps, we partner with an organization, a local one as well, that composts them into soil, that compose our vegetable peelings into soil, and then they bring it back to their farms to make into where they plant again. So it's a nice regenerative agriculture kind of thing. And yeah, well, for packaging, it's still quite difficult as Filipinos are still very cost conscious, price conscious, and I know plastic and single use is quite easy, still quite convenient, but we will get there. We are continuously looking for more sustainable packaging as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the packaging is always a huge area that we need to talk about and stuff. So since we are at the packaging topic right now, so why not we just carry on this conversation about packaging? Because I know that whenever like you walk into the grocery store or the retailer store, you look at a lot of food products. They have a lot of packaging. You have the secondary packaging. You open up, you have another packaging, and then once you open another packaging, there's also individual packaging. So I would say they use a lot of different packaging, and I always think about the amount of plastics used and how we're going to recycle it. And not everyone is very cautious about recycling the packaging, because they will think recycling is something that is not new, so they don't want to recycle, just throw it away. It's very troublesome and stuff like this. So I know we try to always talk about reduce, reuse, and recycle to see how can we really help to address the packaging issue. So I just want to hear from three of you, what's your point of view of looking at packaging way, how to create sustainable packaging, or even how to think about an innovative way to implement reduce, reuse, and recycle approach. So maybe I can hear from Alejandro first. So what's your thoughts about this?
So in terms of packaging, at the moment, we are using pouches, which is probably not the best solution, but we are moving now to a fully recyclable packaging. From the carton to the plastic, you can use a recycle system that is implemented here in Australia, where you can wash the plastic and take it to the supermarket and they recycle. But anyway, in terms of becoming carbon neutral, one of the aspects of the company will be anything that we don't look after properly, let's say from energy consumption or logistics, any emission that we produce, we will be basically paying to offset. So why is important to set a goal of becoming carbon neutral? If you don't do the things, maybe the technology is not there yet, or maybe it's quite difficult, so we will have to basically pay to offset that. So we are kind of forcing ourselves to make the most sustainable, look for the most sustainable solution, so we don't have to offset that much, because the idea is not to offset tons of CO2. The idea is to reduce, to become more efficient, to become more sustainable on the way we produce things. But anyway, if we are not doing our job well, we are gonna offset that. So it's a good way to force ourselves to look for the most sustainable solution on every single aspect of the business, from energy, solar panels, to logistics, to packaging, and everything in between. So when we do have our audits, the company helping us to get the certification for carbon neutral, they look in every single aspect of our business, including packaging.
Yeah, definitely. Packaging is always the key thing, and you have to think about how to replace it to make it more sustainable. It's always a headache to think about it. So maybe I'll ask Patty again, what sort of what's your opinion on this, and then what's the challenges that you have faced? I know that you're also at a point of time looking at sustainable packaging. Happy to hear your thoughts as well on this area.
Yeah, great question. So so I would first talk about, the current packaging that we use is aluminum. Before that, we use a compostable solution, but I think it didn't work so well in this climate. Food safety is paramount important to us as a food companies. So using the current aluminum packaging, we are thinking what sort of properties do they have to actually help and be upcycled with. So there's actually a organization in US called TerraCycle, and we are thinking of actually, using this metallic property. Is weatherproof, is rainproof, it's very reflective and metallic to lock in the moisture and the to lock out the moisture and the humidity. So what else can we upcycle it to? So I was thinking, there are so many refugees in the world. Thousands of homeless people die from the cold every year, every winter, because they just freeze to death on the streets. So I mean, what if this reflective material of our packaging can be actually washed and stitched into tents or a mattress, or maybe even a refugee shelter, to actually reflect the body heat back to them, keep them warm. At the same time, the colorful packaging can also serve as a source of light and cheer for them. So that is one. And the other thing is that I think to create ingredients that absorb carbon dioxide naturally is very, very exciting and something we are looking on. Yeah, so we spoke to an amazing company last week from the Netherlands, introduced by you, called Full. And what they do is they grow microalgae. And microalgae, the growth of it actually absorbs a lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and reduces carbon emissions. So if we use that as an ingredient to season or coat our chips, we are also creating a snack that's carbon negative or neutral. And the last thing we are working on is working with Australian company. So the stems of shiitake mushrooms are traditionally thrown away. So what if we could use these stems and recraft them into vegan jerky? So it's a plant-based substitute of meat jerky, which is very popular. And then we season and infuse them with the recipes and spices that are inspired by Singapore. So I think these are the things we are looking at to really, push beyond and explore the boundaries of what a snack company could be.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is really very insightful to see how you can get out of your comfort zone and actually push yourself to the limit to see how you can also not just address the functionality of the packaging, but also to make sure that it can be reused as well, like getting the reflective motion to reduce the heat and all this area is something I think is very insightful and very useful as well. But last but not least, we still have Steven. We'd like to hear from him about his point of view about packaging and how about the sustainability portion. And happy to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, I think similar to everyone in the panel, our main concern is food safety and hygiene, and it's always a headache for food companies to rethink packaging, because there's only a limited number of packaging that's suitable for food, especially for us. Also, our products are frozen, so that adds another layer. We need to look for materials that can be freezable, and secondly, it's a logistics issue. We could so we try to reduce the secondary packaging. But when we ship to different islands in the Philippines, you have to have the secondary packaging as well to protect the food item. So I have more questions than answers, actually. So I couldn't. Yeah, but as someone in the food business, food safety and hygiene are really paramount in terms of when we discuss packaging. And oh God, like there's only so much we can do. I hope Matthew. I hope Dr. Matthew has the answer.
I do agree that packaging is really tricky because you like to have the functional properties, you want to have the good barrier properties, you want to make sure that it can protect your products. But on the other hand, you think about how much layers of packaging it requires to create your products. Thinking about you need a cardboard layer, you need a plastic layer, and you have a lot of different design on it where you need multiple laminates to get it done. So it's really headache to think about how you want to be sustainable, but definitely I agree on the way that we should also think about not just sustainable, but we can also see how we can reuse, reduce, and recycle it. I think this is also one of the key areas that we can address the consumers because for instance, for my case, when I was thinking in New Zealand, I used to recycle my milk bottles. I don't throw it away. But in Singapore, I always throw it away down the bin. So that's also some of the way I feel that the consumer has to have the bit of a practice of the way to recycle the products, to reuse as well. I mean, for us in Asia, we use in a way that we always get plastic bags from the grocery store, but we use that as the plastic bag to contain all our rubbish and throw it away. So that's also one of the point that we do the reuse portion of the packaging. So yeah, I have a lot of things to talk about this, but right now let's move to another area that I would like to hear your point of view. So I know innovation is very tricky in terms of looking into your product development. You need to do something sustainable, you need to do something functional, and you also have to talk about the packaging. So the areas that I would like to cover now is to look at the nutritional needs as well, because some people will talk about, hey, plant-based products is not nutritional at all. It's vegetables and all this are. You're not eating the real vegetables, you're looking at like meat patties, looking at snacks as well. So my case is, I just want to know your point of view of tackling the nutritional needs, because one of the biggest trends for consumer in terms of the nutritional, they look into what sort of nutrients the product has, is it nutritional dense and stuff like this. So always happy to hear from your point of view. So now I'll start with Steven first to talk about the nutritional side. So what do you think that you can overcome this portion as well?
Yeah, nutrition has always been one of our top principles as well, especially now with COVID. Everyone is looking for more nutrient-dense, immune-boosting properties in food, and we could also see the effect of that in sales. So the Philippines is like blessed with a lot of nutrient-dense ingredients. So we use virgin coconut oil for our product as well, which has some proven properties against viruses. So we yeah, we have a nutritionist on board. Every time we work on something, we make sure the macros and the micronutrients are addressed. Yeah, there's no point in replacing meat when the product is not healthier, I would say, or at least like it matches the nutritional values of meat. So we also use mung bean, which has a nice complete amino acid profile. Yeah, so we are very conscious of nutrition, and moving forward, I think it will also be in a post-pandemic world. It will be critical for every food business to think about how they affect the nutrition and health of the population that they serve.
Yeah, you're right. That definitely, especially at this pandemic, when people wants to know products that has more nutritional needs and able to buy one product that's all the nutritional requirements and have that as one meal, but it's almost impossible to do that. Happy to hear from Alejandro again. So your point of view of trying to meet the nutritional requirements of what the consumers looking for.
Look, in nutrition, I think there are a few studies already that show that plant-based meats are healthier than meat. Anyway, I think meat or even meat replacements, the fat content, the salt and all the probably what makes meat taste good are not the healthiest option that you can find. If you ask me personally, I would recommend, I think what it should be the best option in terms of diet, which is a whole food plant-based, but that restricts you from having oil, for example, and or I think it would be quite boring. Look, if you are really looking for only health benefit, I think a whole food plant-based diet is the best option you can have. I personally believe that, having a meat alternative, twice, 3 times a week, I think is still, you have to balance between eating healthy and having, enjoy your food, yeah, that in terms of, our products, I hear a lot of people saying, about the salt content, but something that sometimes people don't really take in consideration. When you buy, for example, a mince, like, beef mince, normally that product doesn't have salt on the product, right? So you are gonna season it after. And as a chef, I can tell you, when you cook a steak, you put a lot of salt on it because it's really bland otherwise. So when people look at a normal beef burger compared to a plant-based burger, and they are amazed of how much salt plant-based meats have, is because they probably don't consider that beef burger has to have salt on it. So look, at the end of the day, it's up to you how much salt you want to have. And I wouldn't recommend anyway, if it's whether it's plant-based or not, having too much fast food. If you can be following a plant-based diet and be super unhealthy. You can be eating chips and Coca-Cola all day, and that's actually plant-based, but it's probably not ideal. So it's common sense. I think if you eat your greens, if you eat colors, if you eat whole food as much as you can, and try to don't go crazy on oils, because that's not gonna add that much nutrients into your body, and try to eat the majority of your calories from fruits and vegetables, I think you're gonna be fine. But have the pleasure of having once in a while a burger or whatever, snacks or things that make you happy too.
Yeah, definitely. I think when we eat food, nutritional definitely is one of it. But another point is to eat something that is comfortable and make you happy. It's also another point. That's why we have those guilty food, like your deep fried food, your nuggets and stuff like this. So yeah, I do agree on this area. So next we'll probably ask Betty, because we know that she's looking at a lot of the chips that she developed as nutritional dense and stuff. So happy to hear a point of view on addressing the nutrition needs as well.
Yeah, I totally hear what Alejandro and Stephen is saying about the plant-based is definitely the way to go, and the whole reason why the whole ethos behind Confetti, like why did we create this company? So our raison d'être is really to celebrate plant-based colors. That's why we call ourselves Confetti. And less than 12% of people actually get their 5 recommended intake of fruits and vegetables every day. And as you know, we really want people to eat the colors of the rainbow, because different colors of vegetables and fruits have different sets of phytonutrients. So the more colors you eat, the better for your health in general. And I would say that 1/3 of the entire world population is obese or overweight. I think simply because they don't have much other choice, right? Because 90% of the snack aisle is just full of deep fried potatoes. And there's a whole world and thousands of vegetables and plants and spices you can experiment with. So I don't understand the obsession with potatoes. And we really want to just experiment and let the global consumer have more veggies in their diet, and really explore all the different veggies that are actually good for them in a very fun way. And that's what we aim to do as a company. And so the other thing I wanted to mention is great you brought up the pandemic situation, Dr. Matthew. I think a lot of people are, who are facing hunger are having even worse problems now because of the supply chain logistics bottlenecks. And we feel like, if we can actually sell more of these and get it out to the global consumers, we can actually donate, nutrient-dense chips to even feed the hungriest people who are especially affected by the pandemic at the moment. Yeah. So hopefully we can confetti up the world and make it a more colorful and vibrant place to enjoy veggies.
Yeah, definitely. I think the chips that you have is very colorful. Definitely brightens the mood when you eat it, rather than eating a potato chip that is a very dull yellowish color. Yeah, so we do have some questions from the audience that they would like to ask you. Maybe you can take a couple of minutes to answer. So one of the questions that we have is, what is the biggest challenge is in being a startup involved in plant-based? So this is one of the questions. So maybe I'll ask Betty, would you like to be the first to answer this question?
Yeah, I think that there are so many. Yeah, I love that question. I'm asked that question a lot, and I feel like the biggest issue you have is yourself. If you want to do something, no one is going to stop you. So honestly, if you feel passionately enough on something, you definitely find a way and the right resources and people to get to where you want to get to. So the biggest issue, I would say, is really having the right drive and passion to really put something valuable out there to make the world a better place. And of course, there are other things like, when we have the confetti snacks, the branding is so important. Any food company can have the best product in the world. It tastes amazing. It is super nutrient dense. But how do you market it? Marketing is so important. It's the lifeblood of the business. So the way you brand something and present it to the consumer who doesn't know anything about you. So that first touch point, that first impression is so important. So I would say really, really get your branding right and your marketing right. And really that's the way to drive sales and to create a brand awareness. So I think the biggest asset of any food and beverage company is really the brand. So if you get the brand right from day one, which is not an easy thing to do, the future, it really lays the right foundation for you to expand in future. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really one of the biggest challenge you face. How about you, Steven? What's your biggest challenge?
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge is really trying to disrupt the animal meat industry. It's highly efficient. Over decades, the big meat processors have made it very, very efficient. That the prices of meat is impossibly low when we think about it. And as plant-based and as a plant-based alternative protein company, we also do processing, but with lack of with smaller scale and less and still like less efficiency. Our products are still 50-100% higher than regular meat, and convincing people to, it's not expensive, but convincing people to convert to something that's still more expensive than meat. It's a big challenge for us. So going mainstream, I would say, is the biggest challenge when the meat industry, animal meat industry, have perfected going mainstream and making it so easy to access animal meat. So for us, that's our challenge, especially in the Philippines, where we are a majority Christian country. So we eat a lot of meat. There's no, there's haram or halal are not very big for the Philippines. So we're going against the big legacy players in the animal meat industry. So
yeah, definitely, it's one of the biggest challenge. Lastly, I will not exclude Alejandro to hear what's your biggest challenge.
Yeah, I think on top of any other startup company, which lack of resources, probably lack of time and everything. I think being on the plant-based space, probably I agree with Steve. This is kind of a new and very inefficient to start industry. So we cannot compete in terms of prices and economy of scale as much as the industry. But I think if you don't, if you don't die within the first couple of years, you are just gonna get stronger. So Yeah. So if we still here, it means that we are gonna grow, and it takes a few companies to make the whole industry stronger. And I reckon within the next 5 to 10 years, all the companies that are now working and really working hard to to make these steps, the first steps, we will be probably bigger companies and with a much more efficient economy of scale, and yeah, it will be easier for everyone in the industry, and
Yeah.
then easier for consumers, better for the planet, for the animals, for the health of everyone. So it's a really, I just think you need to keep your shit together, and make sure that you keep working hard, and as long as you have a vision, that should be enough inspiration and motivation to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is something that we look for. We have one last question, and we are running out of time. So maybe just I'll probably this question is to us. All three of you have really helped to reduce food losses. So how can end consumers do their parts in the prevention of food loss? So maybe this is a question that probably everyone can give one statement to say, what do you think the end consumer can do their parts in preventing the food loss? So maybe we'll start with Betty. What is your one statement like to the end consumers?
Yeah, I would say food loss is a complete waste. 8.6 million people die from hunger every year, and most of them are children. And once they have that, their growth is irreversibly stunted. So I would say, please don't waste food. And if you have extra food that you can't finish, just freeze it, and then you can upcycle it the next day. I'm sure a chef like Alejandro would agree that overnight food actually tastes better, right? When you reheat it again, all the flavors are more enhanced. So freeze them. The freezer is our best friend. Yeah, and if you have extra food, please donate them.
Yeah, that's really good. How about Alejandro? What's your one statement to say to the end consumers?
I think be wiser when you shop, and try to think and plan ahead a little bit better. If you are buying, if you go to the grocery store and you buy a lot of fresh food, unless you're gonna eat all of that within the next 5 days, that means that's gonna go off, or it's gonna be wasted. So just be mindful. Try to split your shopping list into dry, fresh, frozen, so then you have a bit of a balance, so things don't go, and try to plan it. What are you gonna eat, what are you gonna cook? I know not everyone cooks at home very often, and that's why I see convenience food being good. But yeah, just try to buy what you need, and that will make a saving also in people's household.
Yeah, definitely. Planning is very important. Last but not least, let's hear from one statement from Steven. What's the good advice you can give to the end consumer?
I don't know. Just finish your food. Just finish your food. Stop being greedy. There's so much food around. You don't have to buy until as if you're going to war. Yeah, I tell that to my wife all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really nice to hear from every point of view in terms of food waste, and also look at how sustainable you're looking for, and also how much effort you have placed into innovating very innovative products and also healthy products. So really, thank you so much, Alejandro, Betty, and Steven, for your time today to share with everyone here in the audience about the challenges you face, how to create new products, and also to look into alternative protein. So really appreciate three of your time today, and really happy that you share a lot of insights to them. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'll pass it over back to Timothy.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like also to thank you all for coming. I think it was a very interesting and more ground field discussion that helped a lot of probably manufacturers here, especially in the smaller ones that are trying to develop their businesses, some direction how they can improve that. So thank you very much for coming, and hope to see you some other day as well, because we have a lot of events planned for next year.
Thank you so much for having everyone here on board. Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
And now
Thanks,
I would
bye.
like to invite Mr. Adi Lukman, who is the chairman of the Indonesian Food and Beverage Association. He will be discussing with us the sanitation challenges in the food processing industry. Hello, Mr. Lukman. I think if you could please turn on your microphone as well, because your camera is on, but your microphone is not on yet. It should be the under the AV code. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will
Ready?
leave you the floor to introduce yourself and discuss the sanitation challenges. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Timothy. Thank you for Ringers Events to invite me for sharing about the food and beverage industry. Especially today, I would like to talk about the important things of sanitation for ensure food safety and how is the solutions. And I'm Adi Lukman, chairman of Indonesian Food and Beverage Industry Associations. Before I talk about the sanitation and food safety, I would like to share about the F&B industry in Indonesia. As you know, Indonesia is a big country. It's one of the country with 1 trillion GDP, and population is number 4 in the world with more than 270 million populations. It's a huge country because we also has expenditure per capita for food is around 50%, and contributed by processed food is around 17%. And yeah, so that's why this is a huge market for the food and beverage industry. If we see Indonesia with a special added value for food and beverage industry last year, the Java Island is contribute more than 50%, and followed by Sumatra Islands more than 33%. So the other islands quite small. The most islands is Java and Sumatra Island. So if we talk about the FMCG industry, mostly 60% is coming from Java Island. And investment also growing, even though sometimes the growth is less than last year's. But still, investment in F&B industry is always in the big 5 from the national investment. This is the total investments until first semester is already reached around 30 trillion rupiah. And we have a vision for 2045, which is Indonesian 100 years old, and we will have a prediction our GDP per capita become more than $23,000 US, and you can imagine that with that GDP, that high GDP, I think demand for the food and beverage processed food is quite high, and so that's why we have to prepare the industry to fulfill the demand. Unfortunately, during the pandemic COVID-19, our household consumption is the contraction, the decrease around 5%. So that's why also the growth is decreased, not as last year. Last year our growth is around almost 8%, higher than economic growth. But our growth until first semester still positive, 0.22%. even though the economic growth is minus 5.32%. During the pandemic COVID-19, some physical distancing, work from home, and of course, many activities stopped, especially the tourism, etc. So we saw the jobless in many sectors like the hotel, cafe, restaurant, etc. Fortunately, for the food and beverage products, still some categories still increasing the sales. For example, the milk and dairy product, spices, cooking oil, instant food, nutritional food, and others. And also e-commerce become one way to marketing the products. And the important thing is concern of the food safety from the consumers during the pandemic COVID-19 is increasing. So that's why we can see some behavior change in the consumer side. Like shifting the sales channels, also shifting the mindset of food safety and resources, and shifting the in the brand loyalty. And the important thing is shifting the sales channels, and then we have to ensure that food safety is a number one concern of the consumers. So that's why we need more sanitation and hygiene to become first priority in the preparation and production side. And of course, because of those changes, our manufacturing also adapt the new normal for F&B industry, and many companies now is trying to make a more automation to reduce human-to-human contact and more for human-to-machine interface. And of course, food safety has become the priority, and hygiene, and also some in the sales channel for the multi-channel become the omni-channel, and others channel for sales distributions. And fortunately, our exports still growing even in the pandemic COVID-19. And you can see this data until first semester 2020, we still increase our export around reach 4.3 billion US dollar. Last year, our export is around 4.1 billion US dollar, still increasing. And now we are talking about the sanitation challenges and solutions. And ladies and gentlemen, we are facing some challenges along the food supply chains, both in tariff and non-tariff measures, and many non-tariff measures such as food safety, food standard, label, etc. So that's why food safety is important in the food supply chain. So that's why if you are the player of the food and beverage industry, you have to ensure that your product must be safe to the consumer. This is very important. So we have to ensure along the supply chain from the upstream to downstreams with several standards. We have to fulfill the standard and others safety matters. And this is some research held by ASEAN said that you can see that the personal health and food safety is become the important for the consumers, and also the for the people are caring for themselves, changing personal habits such as cleaning surface. And you can see the data said how many times a day do I wash my hands. Some consumers said more than double. So that's why the personal hygiene, cleaning is very important for the food and beverage industry. So for sustainable food industry, first thing first, we keep our workers in the production and supply chains healthy and safe is a critical to survive the current pandemic. With healthy workers, the food industry can function effectively, capable of adapting, implementing effective food safety management program to ensure that the foods they produce are safe, nutritious, and high quality. Some challenges like culture and mindset of the workers, and also personal hygiene and wellness, and of course the standard procedure for inspection, frequency, physical distancing and non-physical distancing. It's very challenging during the pandemic COVID-19. And the other challenges is like a facility, like equipment and tools, and also water resources, like previous speaker said that the water is very important. So that's why the availability, the quality of water is very important for the food and beverage industry. The other challenges is the knowledge of the workers and knowledge of the company about the sanitation and hygiene is very important to be implemented. And also we have to implement health protocol and physical distancing during the pandemic COVID-19. And last but not least, we have to implement the integrated food safety system in our manufacturing. So that's why the government initiative already released some guideline from the Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Health, and also from the Indonesian FDA. They released some guideline to implement the sanitation and food safety. And also we have some initiative together with the Ministry of Industry. We release what we call it guideline for new normal F&B industry. So this guideline is very important because we talk about the facility, how to make our facilities clean, sanitized, and hygiene. We are also talking about the healthy movement. We are also talking about the raw material handling, processing, quality control and testing, final product handling, and waste management, including the how to manage the waste in the factory. So this we do to ensure that all product produced are safe and encourage the public trust. This is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the, I got some article. It's a very good initiative, I think, to control food safety along the food supply chain, because this system is integrated to trace. There are traceability and information system is complete from end to end. So that's why every company have to implement food safety integrated system to ensure the food safety during the food supply chains. And of course, to control food safety along the food supply chain, we have to do, like we have to get a certification. We have to implement the regulation and guideline from the regulator, and we have to implement the food safety management system, and we have to implement the policy from the company, and also to fulfill the standard and mandatory standard food mandatory and voluntary and the country destination for export. And we have to implement the frequent monitoring and evaluation. And of course, the important thing is upgrade the competency of the workforce. So industry must always update the standard according to the needs and regulation at a minimum, so it can meet the standard to ensure the food safety. This is the most important thing, is to build consumer trust and build corporate and brand image for the food and beverage industry. So what we need to do is, of course, because the food safety is important, so we have to do sanitation and hygiene for along the food supply chains, and we have to ensure the food safety is a must in the food trade. We have to always update the standard and regulation related to food safety and sanitation. We have to implement the company policy and food safety management, improve competency of the workforce, and always monitoring and evaluations, and always update. And to build a trusted company and the product to serve the consumers. I think this is my sharing, Timothy. Hopefully, we can discuss more about the sanitation and the important thing of food safety during the discussion. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Mr. Lukman, we do have a question from the audience, so let me put it here for you.
Yeah. Okay, the first question is,
yes,
how important is it to apply the hygienic sanitation principle in the sustainable food business? So I think, as I mentioned in my presentation, this is very important. If we want to do business with a sustained business in the food supply chains, I think we have to implement procedure of sanitation, procedure of hygiene. This is very important to ensure that all product, all the our factory is clean and safe and sanitized and produce the safe product, especially during the pandemic COVID-19. This is very important to make our consumer trust to the company, to the corporate, and also trust what they are consumed. I think this is very important too.
Yes, I do agree. I mean, we could see resurgence of people, the trends, how they changed, but the sanitation, I would say, again, never changed. The people want to be sure that their products are clean and made safe, especially in these times. We have one more question.
Okay, the next question is, are the regulations governing hygienic sanitation sufficient and adequate? What are the challenges? Yes, I think it's the regulation is sufficient. Unfortunately, the challenges is for the implementation. We know that many companies with small size or small medium enterprise, this is sometimes they don't aware about the food sanitations, and also lack of knowledge, lack of willingness to do these sanitations. So that's why this is the challenges for all of us and also for the governments to make all food industry players implement the regulations, fulfill the regulations, comply the regulations. This is very important. And always our association also doing the educate the SMEs to aware about the important things of implementing the standard and procedure. This is very important, I think, Timothy.
Yes, I think that is why we invite you here to help a little bit those manufacturers that are watching us right now, to help them direct how they can improve those things. And I hope that by exposing you and your expertise to them, we can also encourage them to reach out to you and to your organization for future guidance and cooperation. So I'm sure that this presentation from you was a very important step for many of our audience members.
And also, Timothy, sometimes the important is water resources. This is very important also. Sometimes the lack of water resources, both for the quantity and quality. This is so that's why this is for the industry player have to ensure that water resources is sufficient to make more sanitized at the manufacturer. Thank you.
Yes, this is what Mr. The Brain from Veolia also mentioned, right? How important it is to make sure that your water is a key ingredient, right? So this is a very, very important issue. Thank you very much. I'm sure that there will be a lot of people following up to your organization with more questions. And now I would like to invite our last speaker of today, Ms. Muti Arintavati, the Vice Director of LPPO MUI. Ms. Arivanati, if you could please join us.
Muti, Pak Adi Lukman.
Ya, Bu Muti, apa kabar?
Alhamdulillah baik ya.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much. So I would like to leave you the floor for you to present your information and share with the update on the halal certification regulations. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Timothy. Ladies and gentlemen, the audience. First of all, thank you for the rangers that invite me to talk in this event today. And today I would like to share information about the update on halal certification regulation and its implementation in Indonesia. My name is Muti Arintawati and I'm the Deputy Director of LPPOM MUI. Yeah. Okay. I hope you know already what is the LPPOM MUI. It is we call it as Lembaga Pengajian Pangan, Obat-obatan, dan Kosmetika Majelis Ulama Indonesia. So this is a non-governmental institution that is formed by MUI in 1989 to run MUI function to protect Muslim consumers in consuming halal products through halal certification. And today I have some points here to share with you. First is introduction. Second, halal certification principles. Number 3 is updated halal regulation in Indonesia. 4 is the updated of halal certification and procedure. Number 5, LPPOM MUI services during pandemic COVID-19. And the last one is contact information access of LPPOM MUI. Okay, we'll start with the introduction. I just want to remind you why halal is important. Yeah, we can see from both eyes. Yeah, it is important for Muslim and it is also important for manufacturer. It is important for a Muslim because this is a faith of Muslim, and from the manufacturer eyes, the importance is the market size. Yeah, we know that the market size of halal is not small. Yeah. So from the Muslim faith, halal and haram is part of Islamic teaching. And practicing halal haram rule is obligatory for all Muslim, for all aspects of life. And halal haram rule is clearly explained in the Holy Book, Al-Quran and also Al-Hadith. It's very important for every Muslim. So this is an obligatory for Muslim to follow the regulation of halal and haram. And we can see here that from the manufacturer point of view, the halal market is big. Yeah, we can see the number. This is the number of the market. Yeah, and the forecast in this year it can reach more than 2,000 billion US dollars. So it is a big market. So it is also important for the manufacturer. Yeah. And next, I would like to talk about the principles of halal product certification. So in the halal product certification, we have to ensure that all materials used in the production process are halal. It's very important because when we want to produce halal product, it means that we have to use all halal materials. So we have to ensure that all materials are halal. And ensuring that there is no contamination of haram or najis material to products from production equipment, workers, and also production environment. Yeah, we have halal materials, but if the environments, workers, and equipment is contaminated with haram or najis material, so it will also make the product non-halal. And ensuring that the halal production process can run continuously. So it's not only one time halal, but we hope that it is a must that the product that's halal certified must be halal all the time. Yeah. And to reach that goal, we have a requirement that every company that wants to have halal certificate must implement halal assurance system. So this is a system. It is an integrated management system which is developed, implemented, and maintained to manage materials, production, process, products, human resources, and procedures in order to maintain the sustainability of halal production process in accordance with LPPOM MUI requirements. So that is what is the halal assurance system? It is very important. yeah, to give guarantee to the public that the product is consistently halal during the validity period of halal certificate. So this is the system that is developed by LPPOM MUI, and it is maybe we give the guidance how to develop it, and company must follow the guidance, and they can develop by themselves based on the each company situation. Yeah, this is the 11 criteria of halal assurance system. So 1, 2, and 3 is the kind of a prerequisite. So if you want to implement halal assurance system, you have to have policy, halal policy, halal management team, and training and education procedure. Yeah, to support this, and this is the main criteria for product, material, product, and production facility, and this is some procedures that must be in place to maintain the halalness of the product. And number 10 and 11 is the system, how to monitor and to evaluate the system itself. It's very important. For example, I pick the dairy products. Yeah, for milk itself. Yeah, fresh milk is halal as long as it comes from halal animals. But processed milk become critical because it can have additives and also processing aids like coloring, flavor, stabilizers, prebiotics, probiotics, vitamins, and like minerals, and all the processing aids, for example, like coagulating and hydrolyzing agent like acid and enzymes. So because of these additive and processing aids, the halalness of fresh milk becomes shubhat or masbuh, something that is not clear between halal and haram. So we have to make sure to clarify anything. So the source and production process of each material need to be clarified through halal supporting documents. So it's very important for the materials. And then after we get all information about materials, we have to make sure that the production facility shall be free from najis materials and cannot be used alternately to produce products containing pork. This is one of the principles. And the product name and design of labels shall not use names, pictures of characters that is not comply to Islamic teaching. Yeah. So this is the examples, the critical materials of dairy products, and how production facility and the requirements of the product itself. Okay. Okay. Next is the updated halal regulation in Indonesia. Yeah. I think you all know aware that in Indonesia we have the halal certification mandatory based on the Act number 33 year 2014 concerning halal product assurance. In article number 4, it is clearly stated products that enter, circulate, and trade in the territory of Indonesia must be halal certified, and it is effective since last year, since October 17 last year. And what is the progress of other regulation under this act? Yeah, because to implement this act, there we need other regulations. Yeah, so in this year there are some new regulations enacted. Yeah, like this. The first one is the PP. This is the government regulation. Yeah, it is about considering the law enforcement regulation of Act number 33. And this is the PMA, is the regulation from the Minister of Religious Affairs. Yeah, in this year also concerning the halal product assurance establishment, and this is the decision. This is the decree from Minister of the Religious Affairs concerning the halal certification services, and this is also the last one. This is, I think, the newest one is the decree from Minister of the Religious Affairs concerning the types of product that are mandatory to be halal certified. So this decree explain what is the meaning of the product that it must be or mandatory to be halal certified. It is more detailed explained in this regulation. So if you want to know more about the regulation, you can. I think it's easy to get this new regulation, and you can learn more about it. Yeah. Okay, and the next one, this is the decree. I want to show the decree letter of head of the BBGPH BPGPH regarding assignment of LPM as a halal inspection agency. So up to now, there is still only one halal inspection agency, that is LPPOM MUI. Yeah, but in this new regulation, there is it is open for other organization to be also one of the halal inspection agency. There is one thing that maybe it's also important for you to know about the recognition of overseas halal certification bodies. So based on the regulation of overseas halal certification bodies shall fulfill certain requirements to be recognized by BPJPH. In the past, the recognition is done by MUI, but now it is under the authority of BPJPH, but in the cooperation still with MUI. So the halal certificate issued by recognized overseas CBs must be registered to BPJPH for each product before it is distributed in Indonesia. So the organization itself must be recognized, and the halal certificate for the product must be registered also to BPJPH. But the detailed procedure and mechanism is still under development. So we are still waiting for the regulation, the decree, or the regulation from the government about this matter. So up to now, the recognized halal CBs list still refer to MUI's list. So you still can check the list of the recognition of the recognized overseas halal certification bodies to our website. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, I want to share the updated halal certification procedure and requirements. So this is the flow of the registration of halal certification now. Yeah, previously the company can directly register, submit the application to LPPOM MUI, but now company have to register to BPJPH, and then BPJPH will issue a letter, that registration letter to the company, and then the company continue to submit the application to LPPOM MUI. We have the online system, yeah, and after we finish all the audit, etc., and then we make report to the Fatwa Commission of MUI, and after it passed the Fatwa Commission, and the halal decree of MUI will be issued. Based on this decision of Fatwa Commission, then BPJPH will issue halal certificate. So this is the flow of the halal certification now in Indonesia. What is the requirements for the BPJPH registration? So they will ask the company information. It cover the business license, and also halal supervisor. So you need to submit copy of identity card of the halal supervisor, CV, copy of halal supervisor certificate. It means that the halal supervisor must follow a training, yeah, and copy of halal supervision as halal supervisor assignment, and the halal supervisor must be a Muslim. Yeah, it is for not only for a local company but also for the overseas company. It is the same. And name and product category, product and name type must be same as the name and type of product to be halal certified. List of product and materials used, including the materials, additives, and processing aids. And the product processing process, yeah, it is including the material procurement, material receiving, handling, and storage of material, processing, packing, handling, and storage of finished good, distribution, and transportation. And halal assurance system document, that is a management system which is developed, implemented, and maintained by halal certified companies to maintain the sustainability of halal production process. So all these documents must be submitted to the BPJPH to get the registration letter. So this is then you, after this, you have to go to LPPOM, because now LPPOM the only audit halal audit agency in Indonesia. So you have to go to LPPOM and follow the step of the certification process in LPPOM. Yeah. Okay. This is the yeah, this is the certification step. So you can sign up and log in the Serol account. So this is our online system. And then you do again the halal registration for the online system, and then payment registration, and then you can upload the data halal data certification, and then we will do the pre-audit monitoring. So this is we'll communicate with you what is the information needed, and then the payment of the contract, or we call it as akad, and we submit the audit schedule and itinerary file. So we make with the company in which date that we can conduct the audit, and then after that we have the post audit monitoring, and then fatwa. Yeah, after the audit, auditors will have we will submit the report of the audit to the audit meeting, and then after that we make the report to the fatwa meeting, and after pass it, and then the halal decree will be issued by MUI. Yeah. Okay. Okay, next is I want to share to you what is the LPPOM, how is the LPPOM MUI services during pandemic COVID-19. Yeah, so we still in operation. Yeah, and we still do the audit. How is the audit implementation? Since beginning of March, we already thought that how to modify the audit system to be implemented in pandemic situation, because it is not possible to stop the audit, because it will stop the it will stop the process, and the company who need the halal certificate or want to renew the certificate can get the certificate. So it will also affect the business. So we try to modify the audit system. Yeah, but with these principles, it doesn't change the law of halal haram. So we don't want to modify audit system, but change the status of halal become haram or haram become halal. And it's, of course, it should meet the regulatory requirements and fulfill the client rights. So this is the principles that we as base of the modification of the audit system. You know that LPPOM audit is we have two kind of audit. This is on-site audit and on-desk audit. And then we have what we call as modified on-site audit, or we call it as MOSA. So we formulate this system. Yeah. So the system is remote audit implementation of halal assurance system in production facilities. What you don't have to go there, so we do it from home or from office. By using communication media such as email and or live video. We need the live video conference we use the live video conference platform like Zoom, Skype, Webex, MS Team, or others that we depend on the agreement between the LPPOM and the auditee. This is we make sure that we fulfill the regulatory requirements, because we accredited by CAN. This is the accreditation agency, National Accreditation Agency of Indonesia, and we are accredited by them. So we have to fulfill the requirement, and CAN, they issue a letter that ensure that remote audit can be implemented. And I want to make sure also that we will keep the confidentiality of the auditee. So the audits are conducted based on company LPPOM agreement through live meeting platform, and company and auditors will sign a letter of agreement on MOSA and the confidentiality of audit data. Auditors are required to delete all audit documents related to audit after the audit result report is received by the auditors meeting chairman. So it is the guarantee that we give to our client that the confidentiality is very important, and we will take it very carefully. And during this pandemic, even the office is not really open. but the call center service is still open, so we can still be reached by the clients through this contact number. And then we have also new program, this is teleconference discussion through video teleconference platform. So if our client need discussion with our staff, our auditors, this is not audit but outside the audit. So if you need the discussion, we have this. So you can submit through this link, and then we can arrange the video teleconference platform to discuss anything that you need about the halal certification. Yeah, and also the lab analysis service is also still open. So, but we open with terms and conditions. So we have a limiting time of receipt of samples. It's on Wednesday, and the analysis will be conducted on Thursday. The administration or process of certificate making, signature to delivery to test result is carried out from home. So it is still work from home, and we have the launching plan of lab information management system. So it still also operate. Yeah. Okay, that's all the information that I can share with you. So for contact and information access of LP POM MUI, you can contact us through the call center, as I mentioned before, and also the email services. We have also WhatsApp services. We have mobile apps of Halal MUI, so you can contact. Also, we can get information about the halal certified products from this application. You can also visit our website to get the latest information about the halal certification of MUI. We have also social media account on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also YouTube and LinkedIn. And also for the client, for the service of the halal certification, you can use this website. I hope my information is good enough for you. Yeah, and thank you for your attention. Yeah, and feel free. Yeah, if you have any question, just feel free.
I would like to thank you for the informative presentation, and I'm sure this is a very, very important topic, not only for the Indonesian manufacturers, but also for the regional ones that would like to enter the Indonesian market. We do have two questions from the audience. First one, I'm not sure if, because it was asked actually just before you started explaining on this matter of this regulation. So maybe if you can read and say if there's anything to add on the topic.
Okay. So this is the first question. We would like to know about expired period of halal certificate now, related with halal law number 33 2014 that BPJPH said that halal certificate expired period is 5 years. Otherwise, LP POM MUI issued the halal certificate is 2 years. Yes, based on the law number 33, the validity period of the certificate is 4 years, not 5 years. Yeah, and now we are in the process to follow that system. Yeah, to follow the new regulation. But up to now, what the document that issued by MUI now, it is not called as halal certificate, but it is called as halal decree, because halal certificate is issued by the BPJPH. So this is the halal decree. Up to now, it's still 2 years. Yeah, but we are working out how to make the procedure to make it become same with the validity period that is stated in the regulation. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sure that if there will be more questions regarding the details of those regulations, people will be able to follow on the contact information that you left. And we have a second question here.
Okay, second one is I'm just wondering if a company should have halal supervision, but a Muslim. How about with company in China that majority in there is not Muslim? I do understand the situation, yeah. Previously, based on the MUI policy, we still can accept the halal supervisor that is not a Muslim, yeah, as long as they can understand what is the requirements of halal requirements, and of course they have to follow training, yeah, to understand the requirements. But now it is stated in the regulation that the halal supervisor must be a Muslim. Yeah, so I still cannot. I cannot say anything, yeah, because it is stated in the regulation. But maybe from industry, if we can put your, you can ask the BPJPH directly if they can have special policy for the overseas company. Yeah, yeah. Okay, this next one. Yeah, my products are already certified by our local halal certification body. Do we still need to get certificate from Indonesia? Yeah. So as I mentioned in my presentation that if you have a certificate from your local halal certification body, this halal certification body must be recognized by BPJPH. And after it is recognized, and the halal certificate issued by this certification body must be registered to the BPJPH. Yeah, but until now, this policy is not implemented because the regulation, how to apply this is still in the development by the BPJPH. So up to now, you still have to follow the list of the halal certification body that is recognized by MUI. Yeah. And for a list of the MUI, we divide the recognition into 3 groups. So the group for the CB that is recognized for the certified slaughterhouse. Second one is for the raw materials, and the third one is for the flavors and fragrance. Yeah. So this the regulation of the policy of MUI. So we are still waiting for the policy of the government. Yeah. Sorry, Timothy, I cannot hear you. I think you are muted.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
We have thanks from the attendee that asked the previous question from Daru Kaloka from PT Meninghu Dairy Indonesia. I would like to thank you for the in-depth explanation. I think your topic helped them quite a bit with their production. So thank you very much for this information and for the opportunity to share with our audience. I'm sure that there will be questions following up directly to you through the contact information. Maybe we can put it on the screen for a second more. So anybody who would be interested could note down the contact information. Thank you very much, Imuti, for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I would like to remind everybody that this platform and this event will, the recording of this conference will be available on this website in a few minutes when we finish this event. So if you missed any presentation, or you would like to rewatch it and make notes or get the contact information from the speakers, it will be possible in a few minutes. You can also go to the networking area of the platform, and you can reach out to the speakers directly through there. It was a pleasure to have you here all. I hope that our experts provided you with information that will support your business development. I would like to also remind that we will have additional event this year. In November, we will be covering the topic of plastic applications in Food and Beverage Packaging Summit. So please stay tuned and join us for that event as well. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a good day.